Welcome to the Starting Over Podcast. I'm your host, Edward Shelton, aka Dark Logos, and this is the show where we talk about the strategies, tactics, and mechanics behind the game of heroclix. And today, I have with me, glimmering in gold, shining as a beacon of Canadian hope and love, the big brain himself, Mr. Jay Solomon. How you doing today, sir?
I'm very honored to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes, I will say I've known this man for a long time. Great commentator, great builder, all around awesome guy. So always do the early plug. Check out the JSA podcast. Definitely
JSA Plex.
Yeah, check that out. It is good commentary. All right, today, as you can guess, we are going to be reviewing X of Swords. And we're going to be doing this very efficiently. Do understand we are going to take up a bit of your time, but it's going to be high quality. So, so let's go ahead and go into number one. I got to skip my girl Storm. She's not good. Let's go into...
I mean, technically she might see main force play to drop a sword, but yeah.
Yeah, maybe. If you're looking for...
I mean, honestly, that's kind of better than you can expect for a common. Like, she will be on somebody's build sheet at Worlds, right? Like,
probably. All right, so let's look into my number one homie, Cypher. This dude is actually good. So you have Empower and Enhancement, and you can get a sword for 30 points. So for 25-point base, add 5 points for a sword. That's pretty good. X-Men TA, 4 clicks. Playable. Definitely 9 out of 10 right there.
Yeah, I think he'll definitely see play on his keywords, and I actually think he might see some unthemed play.
Yeah. Also, Dazzler wants to make him a shield, just to add insult to injury. So yeah. All right. Next up, I'm going to White Priestess. 25 points enhancement, side blast, super senses. 20. Yeah, I mean mystical. Like it's easy. What's your thoughts, Jay?
Yeah, I mean, you might want her for recruiter. That's something.
Yeah, to get some backup. Next up is Green Priestess. You might say I might have a weird, selection right now, but 25 points for a running shot, 10 attack, precision strike. It's not bad. I'm looking at this as like you're running a mystical theme team, or you're looking for cheap attackers that don't completely suck.
Yep, I feel exactly the same way about her as I do the other priestess.
Okay. All right. So with that being said, we're going to go over to next up is Lockheed. Now, Lockheed, I think, actually is a tad bit strong. Definitely for a common. And you have the Fiercely Protective of My Friends. He has Defend, Free, make an attack targeting an opposing character that missed a friendly character since your last turn. Now, reason why I believe that this is super strong is, one, it doesn't deal with his base stats. Okay, it doesn't have to deal with his base stats, and there is enough stuff with X-Men, aka my boy Cypher, just to start off, in which I can just start blasting people for making them do 4 damage or 5 damage, capping that out. Upping his attack, upwards of 11 or 12 on average, and increasing his range. So this is like ghetto retaliation, because it doesn't even count as retaliation, and it doesn't have a limit. So, for example, it doesn't say like all characters with this trait. So you could pop off multiple Lockheeds onto somebody, and there is nothing that they could do, and they're just free attacks. It's just pop, 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 pop. So while I know most people just like, it's 2 damage, I'm like, it's not in a vacuum. Not when you have a whole lot of cheap enhancement and empower and everything else. What's your thoughts on Lockheed?
I like everything about him except for his point value.
Too expensive or too cheap?
Yeah. I think I want to pay like closer to 30 for this. I think that he just is just overcosted. But
That
I agree with you otherwise.
that's fair. I mean, at some point we all like cheap. I won't lie.
This expression is one I like to use for set reviews because I've been doing set reviews for a very long time. It's an appropriately costed heroclix figure, which doesn't really work for me.
All right. Wow. Okay. So we'll keep moving. That's a really cool way of putting it. All right. Next up is Colossus. Now the main reason I'm bringing up Colossus is Rally. You're able to use support as free, and in the current meta, that's not bad. The fact is we do have a couple of more Chunky Boy dial figures back in the game. That 6-click bonanza that we've been dealing with has sort of been backing off just a bit, and also he has a stop click and that gives him defend, but that's not really that big of a deal. What do you think about Colossus?
My main takeaways for Colossus are that I wish Valley characters didn't fundamentally not function as ID card characters. And I think he's going to be a sealed bomb.
Ooh, that is a very interesting analysis of rally characters not being ID card characters. And again, I know that goes into that Silver Golden Age analysis. But yeah, I mean,
I mean, I could skip. I could skip those environments if you want, but that was just
no. That's fair. That's more than fair because we're looking at the overall use of the figure. But yeah, like sealed bomb, definitely, I can see it being really useful, considering that he has upfront utility. But yikes, that's a good point. All right.
I mean, he's a hell of a kitchen table figure. Don't get me wrong, but that's not what we're here for. So
yeah. Let's go to Orcus Soldier. Now, you might say, this dude is trash, Dark Logos. Why are you even talking about him? Because my boy Master Mold exists. And he follows the credentials to be generated by Master Mold. Don't sleep. Anything Master Mold can generate for free is worth playing. It's worth thinking about. Definitely if you can't afford some other figures that are going to be talked about later in the show. But yeah, my Orcus Soldier, that's the only reason why it's worth talking about. Let's keep going. This is one that I would like to hear your feedback on. Number 13, Cyclops. Mm-hmm. Okay, great captain. I think this great captain thing trait is one that puts X-Men potentially over the edge in terms of survivability. So I'm going to read it. Great captain. Leadership. When Cyclops uses it and succeeds this turn, friendly characters that have X-Men team ability may use it as free. What do you think about that?
My short and sweet analysis of the figure is that WizKids loves giving great traits to crappy figures.
Yikes! Shots fired.
Again, I've been doing set reviews since Trinity War. I'm very good at it.
Wow, he's bringing the heat. We can call him Pyro today, people. We can call him Pyro. All right, so I like this trait, and I know it's not the only figure with the Great Captain, but I think this Great Captain trait has a lot of potential. I know, like, the Cyclops gets punked. Like, he's just going to get hit and then hit again and he's dead. But, yeah, I just do think, like, overall that trait is good and, like, it might be sealed worthy. But I find it interesting that you're getting your leadership, the removal of your token, plus you get the X-Men team ability as free. I think it's the fact that you get both versus having to make a decision is what makes it really good. All right, next up is Magic, my girl. 5 points for Sword. So automatically that's a good thing. But she's 25 points overall. So I think she's the econ version of Venom Magneto. And that's how I look at her. She's 25 points. She has Passenger 4 with phasing teleport, so she can get wherever she needs to get. and but she can only carry characters which she shares a keyword with, but that's okay. So what are your thoughts on Magic?
I think at 11 speed, phasing Taxi is pretty good because you're going to perplex up her own speed and carry Peeper. I mean, it's exactly the tool that X-Men needed.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, that's 100. Peeper is, but gosh, that name. I don't. Did they think that through? Like that's a no. That's like a Marvel thing.
I found a panel where Magneto called him Peeper, but supposedly his real name's Peepers. I don't know, man.
Yeah, that's weird. All right, so that wraps up our commons. So yay. All right, let's.
So hold on. So did you skip a couple figures on purpose then?
Oh yeah. We're not wasting time.
Okay.
We're not wasting.
I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
No. I'm all for it. I just wanted to make sure that we were. Yeah. Okay. Let's keep going.
I was like, we're already gonna take up over an hour of their time. Let's not waste our comments conversation on Gorgon and why we're never playing him.
Don and I skipped a lot of figures in the set review, so I'm very for it.
All right, so we're brought up Peepers. Let's talk about Peepers real quick. So he's 25 points.
Oh man,
Precision Strike, Shield, X-Men TA, 3 clicks, which again pointing power creep inflation wazoo. Precision Strike, Empower, improved targeting, elevated hindering blocking characters adjacent. This dude has X-ray Omnivision. And I can see for both of us, friendly characters modify speed by +2 if carrying Peepers. Your thoughts, sir?
I think that IT blocking shouldn't be printed, and I think that although Peeper is probably one of the sillier things they printed for the points, I can't be mad because he doesn't make the game a negative play experience. Like, he just does stuff. I don't know. I mean, he is probably too good, but like not in a way that's going to make the game unfun. So
my viewpoint is with them completely removing and banning Realm of Death, he's not broken. And I know some folks will be like, well, blah, 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 why would it be broken, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, just if you're not playing Thanos, again, even if you weren't playing Thanos, you would have a reason to play Realm of Death. X-Men actually had a legit reason to play Realm of Death. And one of the key reasons X-Men had a legit reason to play Realm of Death was you had Legacy Cyclops. You had a Hyper Taxi, which still is Venom Magneto. But when you add in Peepers, all of a sudden you have other characters that are just like, I just blast through walls too. And I have free printed barrier, which is called the map. And I have stick and move, which is called this broke taxi of mine. So I think this figure is really strong. I think this figure is going to be played in duplicates. And I know some folks might say, like, why duplicates? I'm like, because you have every incentive as a player to kill Peepers, to disable your opponent's mobility. Having it in duplicates is a bit of insurance. I know some of my other homies will be like, that's overkill. And I'm like, depending on your situation. Depends on how much you need mobility. That's my
thought. I think that Peeper would have been playable even if he didn't have IT or that trick.
Oh, yeah. He's 25 points for Empower. Plus he has Shield TA. So he's boosting your range damage or your melee damage. And he has X-Men TA because reasons. I mean, yeah, like he's done. And then if you were able to grant like Outwit or anything else to him, yeah, he just becomes even more stupid because now he can just see through walls and stuff and just outwit people. But oh, wait. I think no. Improved targeting blocking is just for attacks, or is it not? I sort of.
Nope, just period for everything.
Oh yeah, then no. Yeah, so yeah.
So he can theme prop through walls too.
Yeah, this is dumb. So yeah.
Like I said, on principle, I think that mechanic should not exist at all.
Yeah.
If WizKids doesn't give themselves a rope, they can't hang themselves with it.
That too.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be so savage. I'm just.
Oh no! I mean no. You've listened to this show. There's a reason why I'm not invited to anything. All right, so let's go on to my next selection, Honey Badger. Now I know some of you might be saying like, why Honey Badger? Honey Badger doesn't seem like a strong figure. It functionally by itself at lower points, and that's where I'm going to tell you to play it at 50. You get Jonathan, which free pogs are always good. But the main reason that you want to look at Honey Badger is that at the beginning of the game, generate a Jonathan bystander. At the beginning of your turn, you may place Jonathan in a square adjacent to Honey Badger. So what that allows for you to do is once you have like gotten Honey Badger into position, Jonathan can be on the other side of the map. At the beginning of your turn, you can place Jonathan in a position so that he can get that nice like charge attack in. And he has a good, decent movement. He has a, 4-move charge with an 8 movement. He's tiny, has blades, exploit. That is just good. Like that's a free teleport, welcome to the Spider-Verse type of moment where it's just like, hey, what's that thing doing there? And it's like Jonathan has come to play. So I think Honey Badger is playable. I don't think it's going to win you games, but I think just that mechanic alone is worth it. What's your thoughts?
On principle, I like the idea of another like character who drops a pog that you can like swap out. But realistically, I don't see how you can fit her and Kate in without like forcing it. I don't know.
Okay,
there's like a lot of commitment.
Okay, that's fair.
Well, I mean, yeah, on principle, yeah, this figure is automatically worth consideration. I just don't know if she actually makes it to a table.
Okay, no, I know.
As long as if the swap math works with that, sure. But I would say that I would not force both Jonathan and Lockheed.
Okay, now see, this is the other thing with this. We're talking about like just swap math. Is that you're able to generate the Jonathan at the beginning of the game. And I don't think Jonathan's existence is predicated on Honey Badger being on the map. So you could swap out Honey Badger and keep Jonathan.
Okay, so the problem is, if your opponent wins map, they will make you replace her before you resolve that.
Yeah, I am fully aware of that.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure for the listeners.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we did the whole... Like, if you're not first, you're last show. So if you want to recap of why first player has too much power, go check out the Ricky Bobby video.
I have not listened to that show, but I'm assuming that I can agree with you. I agree with you 100%.
Oh, yeah. Listen to that show, and I pretty much rag on WizKids why going first is too overpowered.
Yeah, they need to seriously overhaul it.
Yeah. So let's go to our next figure. I was talking with Jay about Recruiter ahead of, before the show. I'm bringing up Cyclops just because he's a 35-point recruiter. There is no other reason to even look at this figure. If you're interested in Recruiter, there you go. Like, he has a decent attack, decent damage, very discounted price. It just sucks that Recruiter is not a good mechanic. That's.
I don't know if I agree with you on that, but I don't want to make a whole.
Go ahead.
I mean, he's so cheap. I don't know how he's not okay. Like at least passable or considerable. He's a reasonable figure on his own. I don't know.
I think is this like if you are looking to fill in your attackers with X-Men, I think he's a great fill-in attacker. I just personally, I don't see most people playing him. Now, depending on how you're playing Krakoa Revival, you might actually have a place for him. But
the actual problem with this figure is that doing that sideline space for both Recruiter and Swap seems difficult.
It is. And the way that Recruiter is scored too also makes it a bit of a problem as well. But that's a whole nother story. But yeah, Cyclops, he gets my respect, but I don't know how popular he's going to be. All right, let's go to Uncommon Gorgon. And Uncommon Gorgon, he has 5 points for the sword bearer. So you could be a wonderful 35 points because that's the only reason why you're playing them. Great captain of Krakoa, leadership when Gorgon uses it and succeeds. This turn, friendly characters with X-Men team ability may use it for free. That is, I look at that again. He's cheaper than the Cyclops. He gets a sword. Has empower. He has willpower. Like he's got wild card in X-Men. Like for 30 points, I can't ask for much more. That's how I look at it.
He's so soft though. I don't know. Like he just gets punked really quick.
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, he does. He doesn't have any damage reduction. So yeah. Next up,
he's about as soft as it gets. I'm not saying he should be 70 clicks for 30 points, but like he is like really that's as easy a one shot as you're going to get.
He's a grenade figure. It's like you throw him out there, and then did you hit something good? All right. Next up, I have is Magic 30 points. Same reason. Sword bearer, great captain of Krakoa, and prop. So. I think she has utility just more as a support piece or as a sword bearer to swap out and get out the game. And if she gets...
I feel like X-Men already has enough good leadership that I don't feel like I need her as much, and then I don't know if I like her kit enough to play her if I already have leadership. But she's definitely a reasonable figure.
Okay. All right, let's move on to Miss Broke. I gotta talk about her, Tarot. Tarot by far is the most broken figure in this set, and I know some folks will be like, "How is that Dark Logos? She doesn't do that much." And I'm like, "No, she does way too much." So let's get into it because this is. I don't know where Jay stands, but after looking at a limited amount of tarots and doing some math, this is dumb. So, shifting the fates. For all characters with this trait, when you withdraw a tarot card from your deck, you may instead draw 2 and choose one to use and put the other one at the bottom of your deck. Okay. So, first off is most tarot card decks are going to be 5 cards. So, once you're able to draw 2 and put the ones at the bottom, you have a lot more control than any other player playing a tarot card deck. Okay, that's your first major thing. Okay, now if you go...
The only thing I disagree with you on so far is the fact that I would say the vast majority of decks are going to be 5 cards. But keep going.
Yeah, the vast majority of deck are 5 cards. But if you play tarot, you have an incentive to play a 6-card deck if you wanted to.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because of the way the draw mechanic works with the rules that WizKids put out. And I've talked to a couple of different people on this, and the way they designed the whole tarot deck mechanic is bad because they tried to I'm assuming they're trying to keep everything concise. And the conciseness is the problem. So first off, you were able to draw 2. Okay, that's your first major advantage right there. The second is that there isn't a discard pile. There is either active or formerly active tarot cards in your deck. They're 2 different things. Those are only 2 states. There isn't a discard pile. So once you start milling with this character, because this is realistically mill, you're going to get to the point where after you've gotten to your second turn, you know what the order of your last 3 cards are. And you're able to make decisions accordingly. And that to me is a problem. Because you functionally are able to predict the future at that point in time. Because 5 cards, you draw the first 2, put the one on the bottom, you know it's on the bottom, draw the second 2, put the other one on the bottom. You have 3 cards left. You know what those 3 cards are. And you know the order that they're in. And that to me takes away a lot of the balance. Definitely when you're able to predict in your turns what you can and cannot do. And if you're like, well, I need to, for example, you could say the card that you drew on your first turn and put at the bottom. By the time you get to your third turn, you say, no, I need to delay that one more time. When you draw two, you just put that on the bottom. And then you're like, guess what? I know that I've delayed that card for the turn when I need it. That's the problem I have. That's the biggest problem I have with tarot. She inevitably makes tarot card, takes the randomness and the chaos out of it, puts a very distinct order into it, and gives a huge advantage to the player with tarot. Considering that we've seen the Seven of Swords, where you functionally make every Psy Blaster Cyclops Sentinel, that in and of itself, and I don't know the rest of the cards, that one has burned a hole in my mind of what it can do. And if you don't know what the Seven of Swords do, you can go and look at the write-up article on it. But she also has reading the card, shape change, free. Roll a d6. Tarot can use the corresponding power to your next turn. 1 through 3 perplex, 4 through 6 outwit. I'm hoping to roll 1 through 3 like 90% of the time. But she has quadruple target in cap and stealth. I mean, she's broke from my perspective. I know she's easy to punk and she has a short dial, but what she does for tarot, it's insane. What's your thoughts?
I mean, I absolutely loathe tarot, and if we were cussing, that would be the time.
Okay. I personally, like I said, I don't know too much, but my problem is that when you create a mechanic that is powerful and it's supposed to be random, and then you create a character that just says, I can control the randomness, you've broken your design. You've broken your game design. There's no significant downside to what tarot does as a figure. She has, you could say, oh, she has inconsistent utility. That is always good. That is always good for the reading the cards. And she has shape change, so she has more survivability. Anyway, this is the figure that if you're going to get any figure of the set, get it. If you're like, I'm never gonna play tarot cards, you can forget it. Like, I will say this, I have moral things against tarot cards. I don't have anything against people playing it. I understand that. I won't be, just for religious reasons, but still, I'm gonna be 100. I'm being 100 with everybody, but I'm not blind enough to say like, this is the future of clicks. Tarot is the future of clicks, and if they come out with any more, like to replace like your Seven of Clubs or your King of Hearts or your Aces or any of your Arcanas or whatever, the mechanic is only going to get stronger, because that's just going to be cheap and easy prize support. Like, here's a replacement for the Chariot. Here's a replacement for the Fool.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't play around during BFCs, but I don't think that giving everybody 5 random BFCs was a good idea.
Oh, I played during BFCs, and I've actually played a tournament where there were judge rotating BFCs. I've also played a tournament where you and your opponent had to play a BFC, and then you would go up and roll, and then that would determine the third BFC that is that's affecting your game. I have been under those game effects. They are not fun. There are reasons why BFCs got removed, and for people who don't know what BFCs is, battlefield conditions. It's a reason why that mechanic got removed from the game. People inevitably didn't like it for how much it changed the game. And then even with BFCs, you had one game in which you could use that BFC. So if you use your ordinary day against, so-and-so on game one, you could not use your ordinary day on, round four. Okay. Ordinary day is gone. So anyway, let's keep it moving because I could rage about tarot all day. So let's talk about Sebastian Shaw. This one, I believe this is the beginning of fun and a lot of goodness. So it's
Wait, what about Mystique?
no, she sucks. I don't like her. Like, if you want to talk about Mystique,
okay.
Go ahead. Bring up. What's your view?
I mean, if you don't like her, then I'm not going to disagree with you on your own show. But
No. I have free. Feel free. You are open to disagree with me on.
I mean, the problem with Mystique is that Maggot's about to make a comeback, so she kind of just dies. But on principle, in a vacuum, I think she's a reasonable heroclix figure.
That's fine. I think that's fine.
Legit, so yeah, we can talk about Shaw.
Yeah, Sebastian Shaw, I think is the guy because he's 30 points. He's like a supporty guy up front, and as he takes damage and builds up his error tokens, he just gets like beefier, and I think he's fun. He can be toted around, and he's fun. That's just my viewpoint. That's why I like it. What's your thoughts?
I think he's a very good figure. I think that no matter what he does in the game, he's going to be a problem for your opponent. Like if they have to ignore him, he's 30-point enhancement that can carry the whole game.
Mm-hmm.
Like he can move up to somebody and be like, "What's up?"
Yeah. And that's the part with Sebastian Shaw more than any other Sebastian Shaw where I'm just like, yeah, he does. Like he could just sit there and take the hits. Like I think that's what I like about him. All right. Let's go ahead and keep moving. Where's I was like, this is one thing with rounds, like once you lose track of where you're at, it's like, okay, I gotta scroll back up. All right, let's go to Omega Sentinel. 50 points, and again, why are we looking at this? Because Master Mode exists. You have a rally die for friendly attack rolls if you roll a 1. Remove one of Omega Sentinel's rally dice to choose a friendly character within range. The chosen character has police team ability until your next turn. That is really useful, definitely with Sentinel, to give them some added oomph because their attack values are a bit middle of the road. She has improved targeting, hindering, and elevated, but unfortunately she has a 5 range. And I think that's the only part that I feel like that gives her. But other than that, she's okay. What's your thoughts?
My thoughts are that if WizKids decided to print Master Mold, they should have actually designed stuff to support it. I don't think he... I'm actually a little bit mind blown that we got a whole X-Men set and Sentinel barely got any help. Like, what am I doing with my Master Mold again? I don't know. Like, I agree with you that she's interesting, whatever, but I just don't feel like, as on the whole, Master Mold is really there.
So, okay, and I'll put in a caveat here for our listeners is like, again, if you know that I'm a fan of the Master Mold, you can sort of tell. In terms of support, even during Dark Phoenix, if Master Mold came out when Dark Phoenix Saga launched, which I think was the original intent, the support for generating a bunch of like standard Sentinels, that was sort of there. And Bastion was like the grand poobah of the parade. The problem that came in is that Sentinel was always like, we win through brute force. And they didn't get any of the things that core HeroClix teams need. And you could say, well, what about Senator Robert Kelly? What about Trask and all this other stuff? And I'm like, they were okay. They did not help you get over on your opponent. They were just like useful idiots. And you're just praying the entire time, dear Lord, let my mind control go off on these two, Cyclops Sentinels, because I'm going to need them. But as terms of like where Master Mold is and him generating his tokens and everything else, I hate to say it, it's like he's more likely to be on a robot team, but then you're going to play the Karima from the other set where she makes like robot sentinels. And then they start to get like the support that they need. But I think that's the only way forward. Let me rephrase that. I think that's the easiest way forward for Master Mold, if you catch my drift. If you're looking at focusing on Master Mold. All right. Next up is Magneto. Now, I'm going to say this. For Seal, 100-point Magneto is boss. I cannot deny him. For me, I'm primarily looking at 30-point Magneto, and that's for the recruiter, if you're looking at recruiter mechanic. But for Seal, 100-point Magneto is boss. That's all I have to say. What's your thoughts?
I mean, he bothers me as a matter of design principle because, like, why does he have one keyword-based effect and then, like, multiple keywords? Like, what? Like, either don't give him that keyword or make his effect work with all of his keywords. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. Also, why did we get another Magneto with all great powers? Like, we just got one in Empire. Like, I don't know.
That's a legitimate observation. You know what? I don't know. Like, again, it might be one of those things that the people that are designing it's just like, you know what Magneto is? He's super hard to kill, and he whips stuff around with magnets, and that's it. I don't know. We'll see. All right. Next up on the list is Jean Grey. Jean Grey, I think, is interesting. Just primarily is that if she gets targeted by an attack, she can be placed to adjacent to a friendly character within her range. So, in my opinion, it's the fact that she's able to just sort of boot to somebody nearby to stop, multiple attacks on her. That's the part that I like the most. What's your thoughts?
I actually spaced out for a second. We're talking about Jean.
Yeah, Jean Grey, number 29.
She is an incredibly stupid heroclix figure. I do not understand why they printed a figure that does all this stuff. Like, you gave her the 3 best support powers in the game, and then you gave her that trait. Like, what? Like, explain to me why she needs that trait. I don't know, man.
That's a very interesting viewpoint. Now, because here's one thing I think ends up becoming a bigger issue with Jean is the fact that she can boop and empower somebody. Like, if you fail that attack, because again, it just says when she's targeted by an attack. It doesn't mean if they hit or not. And if that attack misses, and that's your last attack, that player can just set up for a very nice, melee attack the following turn with Jean in position. So, like, there is that. Or just be like, oh, you were planning on supporting? Well, not anymore. Like, that Jean is right there in the perfect position. So, I think that potentially she does have a lot of potential, but like looking at her having barrier plus leadership plus TK, yeah, that's a good point. You see those things, like I see those things as like a builder, but then when you blatantly just say like you got 3 of the best support powers in the game on one figure plus a teleport out, I'm like, oh, I didn't look at it like that. So that's a good insight. Okay. Let's go to I'm gonna talk about my boy Bishop. You might have guessed it by now. It's Great Captain of Krakoa. But then he also has You've Taken Your Best Shot. Now it's my turn. Free. If Bishop took damage at your last turn, heal him 1 click. And in this turn, he can use Range Combat Expert. I would play him at 80, not 30, just because of that second trait. And he has like a really good attack value. So that's my viewpoint. Police team ability plus X-Men. So that's my pitch for Bishop.
I wonder if they intended for his trait to center Oh, never mind. I mean, technically, it synergizes with the X and 2 ability, but he wouldn't be able to make an attack. Never mind.
Yeah. Well, because you can use X-Men team ability as free, so he could.
Oh, you know. Oh, you're. Oh, I totally forgot that was on the same figure. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't particularly love the figure. I mean, I don't know. I'll probably play him in a casual game, but I don't think he's that good.
that's fine. I like I said, I think he has potential. Now, I wish he had like a click of invuln up front or something, but it's okay. All right, let's keep it moving. Let's talk about the prime Issachar the Unbeaten, because
Cool.
the other version is not that good. So Issachar the Unbeaten, you get your sword bearer, you get your rally. Now this is the part I like. It's 4 on all attack rolls, so I just like that. When Issachar the Unbeaten attacks or is attacked, you may remove one of her rally dice to replace a d6 in the attack roll. If you do, she can't gain rally dice this turn. Then she has Unbeaten isn't just a name, stop toughness, stop toughness, super senses, and when she super senses, and when she uses it, increase the result by +1 for each 4 in the attack roll. So I like it. I think she is very very interesting figure. Now, unfortunately, I don't see her being played with X-Men. Martial artist, warrior, or a Rocco, I could definitely see it, but definitely not with X-Men. What's your thoughts?
I mean, this is. We're living in a time where primes are like more nuts than they've ever been, so it's kind of a hard sell.
That's fair. That's fair.
I just keep like I don't see what this figure does. Like when I sit there and look at this figure, I do not see what she's going to do to advance the game state to make me win a competitive HeroClix game. Is the problem.
Okay. I see, and here's my viewpoint right now with the swords. My viewpoint with the sword bearer is you have a massive, insane amount of adaptability with the swords, and the quantifying that down is the problem that I have. Because in some matchups, swords don't mean jack. In other matchups, these swords are really good. And so that's where I'm sort of torn because on a floating scale of between 1 to 10, of 10 being great and 1 being crap, I don't think any sword bearer automatically lands at 1 nor automatically hits 10. But I do think there's like this floating, scale where somewhere between 5 and 7 consistently, just because of the sword, they have utility. Whether it's the swap or the matchup, the fact that the swords themselves are not set at force construction is what concerns me the most. And they don't follow any like equipment uniqueness or anything like that when you're using them, assigning them at force construction. And so the fact that any character that, like I said, any character that has a sword, like I said, their utility fluctuates in my mind somewhere between 5 and 7, like automatically. Now again, there are some sword bearers that are just way better and have way more utility and function. But that's sort of the spectrum I was looking at. All right, we're in the rares. Actually, we're doing pretty good. We haven't,
Yeah, I'm happy about the pace we're going
yeah.
at.
I was like, we're in the rares. Like normally, it's like we would be wrapping up, be like, "Hey guys, we're gonna meet. We'll be back in the next section." But
Only been half an hour so far. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, we're doing pretty good. All right, so we're in rare. So we're gonna go to Big Daddy Wolverine. Okay, he's unique. Thank God. Oh gosh, this dude is strong. I see him making some degree of splash in the competitive scene. So he, of course,
I hard disagree, but I'll let you make your case first.
oh wow, okay, let's go. All right, first off, you have Sword Bearer, and then you have the Returning from Hell over and over again. Now, when Wolverine would be KO'd by opposing effect, instead, don't stop turning the dial and keep turning it for the damage taken up to click 12. Then place him on this card at the beginning of your turn. If Wolverine is on his card, heal him 1 click. If 5 is revealed, your opponent places him within 4 squares of a friendly character. If no other friendly characters on the map share a keyword with Wolverine while he is on his card, KO him, Protected Pulse Wave. All right. I like him for a multitude of reasons. The first reason I like is you give him more Masa Blade, and this dude is a beast. That's the first one that I liked. The second reason that I really like him, I think he's going to have some degree of utility, is that you can play him on a Krakoan revival team and not worry about reviving him. If you mastermind to him, you're just like, oh, okay, he's at top click. You did, you did 6 damage to me. Okay, fine. That's completely fine. I'm the mastermind to Wolverine. Wolverine will be back. He's coming back next turn. Like I feel like he has a lot of just infinite potential. He's the attacker. He's the mastermind fodder. He has the blade that you need when you need it. I like it. So that's my thoughts. All right, go ahead. Hit me with your best shot.
So when I look at this figure, the only thing I think is, why am I not playing the Fantastic Four Super Rare instead?
That's a good point too. Now,
right?
No, that's a legit
thing. But like, I don't know. Like, yes, okay. Technically, they don't do exactly the same thing. Like, yes, he has a sword. Like, he has leadership. Like, they technically do different things. But at the end of the day, they are essentially the same figure. They are a Wolverine who doesn't die. Like,
no. You're right. So and so here's the design thing, because I've actually looked at trying to run both of them on the same team. So the problem that you have with, let's say you're running X-Men. If you're running X-Men, you're not. Most people aren't looking at that Fantastic Four one. If you're running, so I look at it like this. If you're exclusively looking at X-Men and you're not trying to do anything creative, which a majority of players aren't, this is the Wolverine. This is the Fantastic Four Wolverine for X-Men. But if you like the Fantastic Four Wolverine more, and you don't want to use Krakoan Revival, you have to play Artie and Leech. And Artie and Leech are
okay, but you're already playing Leech. He's one of the best figures in the set. Like,
the new Leech, the new Leech. Well, the new Leech, I didn't think he had Fantastic Four keyword. No, he does. He does. Yeah, never mind. Yeah, you're playing New Leech. New Leech has a babysitter, because that dude, he can't be around everybody else. He gives everybody else the cooties. Like, he gives his friends the cooties. He gives his opponents the cooties. He gives everybody the cooties. But like, that's legit too. That's where I mainly was looking at. Now you can run them both on the same team. It just you have to run, like, I think it was Future Foundation, Artie and Leech. I think it's Future Foundation that they're in. But and they're not horrible figures. But that was my thought process. Like, you need to have a Fantastic Four that's also an X-Men other than Wolverine. But yeah, all right. I mean, like, that's a legit pushback. All right, let's move to the next figure, War.
I mean, if you don't want me to spit facts, then I don't know why you asked.
No. I mean, we're on here. Like, we are allowing for conflict. Conflict is necessary for development of good tech. That's.
I am the last person who would ever have an ego, but I think I know a little bit about heroclix.
Oh, that's fine.
No,
that's fine. All right. Next up is War. Okay. 45 points. Sword Bearer, trade for 5. first children at the beginning of the game, if your starting force has 2 or more characters with a horseman keyword, which I do think is going to make a little bit more of a comeback. This game war has still energy, both close or range. If a friendly character named Apocalypse, Annihilation, or Genesis is on your force, modify war's attack and defense by +1. Then you have Quake and Giant Reach 3. So I like that. So you're going to play this figure on a horseman team. So you're looking at being 11 attack, 18 defense automatically. And then you can get your sword. So you don't have to pick one with exploit. So you can get exploit with your blades. I think that like for what it does for a low points, it fits really nicely on a horseman team. What's your thoughts?
I mean, I think the figure is crap, but you have to buy him for the sword.
Okay, fair enough.
He comes with one of the better swords, so.
Okay. All right. Next up is Death. All right. Death, I'm looking at Death at 70 points, 5 point sword bearer, first children. We already just went over that with the still energy and the +1 attack and defense. Then it says, we shall litter the path with their bodies when death damages opposing character with an attack. After resolution, deal that character 1 unavoidable damage. If that character is not KO'd, immediately heal them 1 click. I like this. I think potentially this can be a lot more devastating if you had some penalty against healing. So if the character can't heal, I think that this would be a really strong character. But overall, I like this. I think, again, you're playing it with Horseman or Rocco. That's the only reason why you're playing it. I don't know if animal teams would pick up this figure or not. I don't know. What's your thoughts?
I feel literally the same way about this figure as I did the last figure.
It's like, okay. All right, let's keep it moving then. All right, next up is Apocalypse number 35. All right, so Apocalypse, rally die. He has Horseman and Robot, so this is our Danger Room construct. At the beginning of your turn, you may remove one of Apocalypse's rally dice. If you do, give a friendly character that can use the Danger Room construct trait and error token, and they gain colossal damage until your next turn. I just like that. I like that a lot. The fact that he can just give out error tokens and just be like, hey, you're going to get to doing normal damage a lot quicker. We'll skip the Danger Room construct trait because everybody's aware of it. Lessons from the Danger Room. If Apocalypse, well, never mind. It's if Apocalypse is KO'd by an opposing character for the rest of the game, that character can use cosmic energy. That part does suck just a bit, but still, I think that this Apocalypse can be very useful. I think he'll be maybe on some Horseman teams, probably more Robot teams again. But yeah, that's my thoughts. You're going to see Apocalypse with multiple with multiple Danger Room construct figures. So what's your thoughts?
Ooh, I disagree. I think he's actually kind of bad.
Ooh, okay.
I think this is probably one of the worst dials that we've seen on a Danger Room.
Okay.
And he's more expensive. And I don't see why I would ever use that trait. Like, if I'm going from 0 to 1 or 1 to 2, I'm risking them becoming a real boy and getting killed.
Okay.
And then if I make them a real boy with the third token, they're going to make one good attack and then get killed.
Okay.
Like, I don't see... I think that this was a design flub, and I don't see what... I just don't see why this was designed this way.
Okay.
Like, I don't know.
So you're primarily looking at getting... You're looking at the defensive nature getting lost and not necessarily gaining any massive offense.
If Colossal still gained Colossal stamina, it would be a different story.
that's a very interesting point. That would be a lot more useful on like Sebastian Shaw and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean that's a good point. The the getting some of the utility that you get off of Colossal Stamina, I can sort of see the see the problem comes in is that you wouldn't get the roll.
But most of the danger room constructs now are close attackers. So like they gain giant reach, like big whoop. I don't know.
Yeah, because they wouldn't get the willpower roll because of when it's assigned.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. See, I overlooked that because I'm just like, oh yeah, I get all these things, but when you look at the timing of when leadership is rolled, you're not getting it. Okay. All right.
And also, again, I don't like his dial. Like for 60 points, I don't see how I'm not playing an infinite number of better things.
Okay. All right. So that leads us to our next danger room construct, which is Juggernaut. So
he's one of the best danger room constructs.
I like him. I think this dude is bonkers fun. So he has Quake, and he can just leap climb, and when he's giving a move action, he just can make a close attack. I think every Juggernaut should have this. Like, this is perfect. He does what he's supposed to do. What's your thoughts?
I mean, he does everything a Juggernaut's supposed to do. The fact that you're probably using Quake means the fact that you don't mind him being a danger room construct as much. Like, I don't know. I think he's one of the better danger room constructs they've ever printed. So,
yeah, with his Quake, he would still only deal 1 damage, right?
Okay, but I'm saying okay. I mean, everybody still takes 1, right? Like that's a pretty good way to design to mitigate the danger room thing. I think so.
No, that's fair. I'm just thinking about that. The fact that his Quake wouldn't do 2, it would do 1 because of the trait. But the fact is that you're able to hit multiple figures instead of just 1 figure. That
and the knockback, like even like the disruption, like, and he has destroys blocking, like.
Oh yeah,
and his KO trait's probably one of the least hard to deal with. Like, okay, I just need to use Psychic Blast. So
yeah.
I mean, to be fair, that assumes that anybody ever remembers that they all have a trait when they're KO'd, but I doubt that people remember. But
so that's an interesting thing, and minor sidetrack in game design, which is a more interesting conversation having you here. We're talking more game design stuff than I've actually talked about with another guest in a long time. But
I mean, I've just done a lot of dials on realms. So
oh no, I understand that. Yeah, because you were putting in the dials on realms. I don't know if are you still doing that.
I used to do the dial design contests a lot. So
yeah. So here's an interesting thing when you were talking about like will people remember that is. When I look at D&D content and they talk about what ends up happening is mechanics end up being worthless because players forget the disability or the disadvantage, and so does the GM after a while. And so, or even that you could roll for it just due to the number of options that the player has. And so I think that's an interesting thing is that like when we're looking at the game currently as it's designed, you have about 20 to 30 options per team that you're trying to keep track of. Are you also remembering, like, hey, you have a danger room construct, bonus once you KO the danger room construct? Because I know, like, by the time I've ground through a danger room construct, I'm more like, oh, thank God it's dead, rather than, well, who's going to get the bonus? And so at the end of the day, is it something that's worth it from a game design perspective instead of like remove 2 tokens off of your force if you KO this figure? Like that's easier to remember than the fact like, hey, you now have invulnerability or you have shape change or whatever else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's move to the next figure. I'm going to go with Rogue, default Rogue, and I like her. So if I never get to her top points, I think 60 points. She is playable. Charge, Quake, close combat expert, all the goodness, invulnerability. Then she also has her trait where she gets still energy, where it allows her to heal past her top click to her top clicks, her first three clicks technically, and then once she gets up there, she has like charge, flurry, and invincible willpower, which I think are really good things for her to have. And that is, she can get going. She powers up real quick. But I think the key thing is, I don't think she is the alpha strike. Throw her into the crowd at the beginning. I think she is that figure that comes in from the side, lands some hits, starts weakening up the opponents, and is that shot trooper slash melee piece that you need to like have your opponent like divert their attention towards Rogue. That's my thoughts. What do you think about her?
I think she's a kitchen table figure. I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, I guess she's reasonable if you want to use the ID card, but other than that,
okay,
I don't see it.
That's valid. All right, let's go to the next figure, which is Captain Britain Rogue. I'm only looking at Captain Britain Rogue for 50 points, and you're primarily looking at her for Excalibur. You're not playing her with X-Men. You're probably not playing her with Mystics. She gets Charge Flurry from the start at 50 points. And then when Captain Britain Rogue hits until your next turn, she has friendly characters within range that she shares a keyword with have Safeguard Outwit. So that's pretty good too. So now you've protected a good amount of your force from Outwit. She also gets Precision Strike and Still Energy. And she has Perplex and Enhancement, starting off. So I like it. I think for 50 points, and she's good. For Excalibur, I think that's the only way you're really playing her.
I just honestly don't see why this is a prime.
That's a good point.
Like, because she's a little bit undercosted. Like, I don't know.
I mean, that's a good point.
Is she undercosted? I don't know that she is. I don't know.
That's okay. If we're really realistically looking at that, if I would say in comparison to other things that I'm getting, and she's sitting at the rarity, I think she is closely costed to a mediocre super rare. I think
that's a fair assessment.
She's appropriately costed a mediocre super rare, and she does have a higher point value at 100 points. What she offers at 100 points, I don't see anyone paying to do that. Not when you could get King, was it Gladiator? It was Emperor Gladiator for like almost exactly the same points. I think Emperor Gladiator is 100 points. And you get so much far more. Now, I know someone could argue is that he's like a super rare prime or something like that. But it's still your prime slot, which I think is the grand problem with balancing primes, is that primes end up getting balanced based off of the entry rarity in which they're introduced at, instead of just being balanced at the prime mechanic. And so then it's like the rarity and the circulation of the prime of that prime figure gets looked at as like, oh, well, it's a common prime. It's like it's okay. So it's like, no, realistically, I think maybe the flaw from game design is that all primes need to be balanced and treated as primes instead of a common, uncommon, rare, super rare chase prime. I mean, that's just my thoughts. Do you have any do you have any thoughts about that, or?
Sorry, I spaced out. What was that?
So maybe the prime mechanic should be more based off of it being a prime instead of the rarity in which it comes in at.
How do you mean?
So like I was sort of recapping what I said before. It's like a common prime gets sort of treated worse in some cases than a super rare prime. But in actuality, they both take that same slot. And so the prime mechanic needs to be balanced over it being a prime instead of it being a common prime or a uncommon prime or a super rare prime. That they all are just fundamentally just primes. And so what if a something that comes in at the common rarity prime is strong and more people have it, it's being balanced against it being a prime period. And then there needs to be like a power level that is set for prime instead of it being a common or uncommon prime. Because I can't go into a game and be like, well, here's my common prime and here's my uncommon prime and here's my super rare prime. They're at different rarities, so I can play multiple primes. I can't do that.
Yeah. I'm not inclined to disagree with you generally, so I'm not going to do so here.
Okay. All right. We talked about Kate Pride a little bit, I think, before. So, what's your thoughts on Kate Pride?
I think that her mission point thing is too hard to pull off for the reward, and I wish that it was lower reward, but also easier to pull off.
Okay, that's very interesting. So here's my thought: is I think that Kate Pride is as a figure is okay. As a mission point figure, I think I'm with you in terms of it being difficult. My problem, and this is something that I would ask game design, and this is a legit question I want to ask them. When we are playing mission point figures, if the goal is for me to play a mission point figure and that to be the condition for me to win, how am I supposed to do that with that figure within the time allotted of about 45 minutes? Like, how is
Yeah,
this
I mean,
figure...
my problem with mission points is that I like them on principle, but I don't see a mission point team that has lines of play to win a heroclix game normally. So and then because mission points aren't worth anything unless you get 20, it's like, okay, but like, if you only have one plan, if you have one line of play and it's not good, like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, again, this is one of those things that if I was able to talk to a chief designer, which I wish there was one, I'd be like, what is the plan for mission point figures in terms of making that mechanic work? Because I'm a bit frustrated because I think Kate is okay. I think she's worth looking at because she's one of the few figures that allows for you to keep generating these streams of guys that can make points. But unfortunately, your opponent is going to be like, all right, well, you got you got 4 or 8 mission points. Don't care. I'm going to attack you. And even if you got those points, like, are you able to hold out till 20? And that's you getting 5 guys down, and that's 5 turns. And they have decent movement, but they don't have insane movement. So, all right.
I really do wish that mission points were viable. Don't get me wrong, but I just think that I can't honestly say that they are.
Okay. All right. Next up on the list is Pyro. I like Pyro just for the fact that he can generate his little tokens with the flame constructs. I think they're fun. The flame constructs...
I wish he generated them in almost literally any other way. I just hate how he generates them.
Oh, because he has to clear action token?
Right. So I don't see how you're ever going to get to use your Pyro unless your opponent is really bad at heroclix. Like, I don't know.
Okay. I think potentially if you were to take some of the, like, what if he had the same mechanic, but he was, let's just say 40 points. Would he be a little bit more appropriate? in your eyes?
Um, he would only be considerable at that point because he has swap keywords, but sure.
Okay, that's fair. All right, let's go to the next one. Emma Frost. I like Emma because functionally, if she gets on a roll with leadership, she brings in an army worth of characters, and she's okay by herself. But she brings in a very robust like utility army with all the cuckoos. And so she has diamond form. Do we know what her 100?
We do not as of now. No.
Okay, I was gonna say like, and that's what put me on like the edge, because part of me was like the other dial could be really awesome or it could be really suck. So that diamond form could be real questionable. But then she also has super senses on 4 through 6, which is good, and it's protected out with. And then she has the ability to draw in those pogs. And the Celeste pog is prob, Esme is perplex. I think Irma's outwit. Phoebe is psychic blast. I think Sophie was mind control. So you can get another mind control. Now my only fault with these is that they're not autonomous, but other than that, I think they're pretty cool.
I mean, as a matter of principle, Devin and I have been talking about like how we would make Emma for years, just because she's his favorite character, and we did come to the agreement that she should have shifting focus. So, I'm very much looking forward to playing this figure in a casual game.
Okay.
But yeah, I just it's not consistent, and we don't have Reign of Terror anymore.
Okay.
She's kind of expensive, so
yeah. Okay, so let's keep going. And next up on my list for us to look at is Magneto, number 65. And truth be told, I wish we just had this Magneto instead of the other one. But that's just my opinion. We could have had another character. But prepared for invasion, opposing characters within range and line of fire using impervious, shape change, or super senses decrease their result for those powers by -1. 6 is always a success. I like this. I think he puts a ton of different X-Men utility figures all into one character instead of them just negating, hard negating all of them. It's just like, look, like they're all -1, and it's you are successful on 6, but you only going to get on a 6. Then magnetic repulsion, running shot. When Magneto uses it after resolutions, he may use force blast as free, and then he has the energy shield deflection. Sorry, magnetic defenses, energy shield deflection, and vulnerability. And this character has safeguard, mind control. I like this. I think
he's really close, but I wish he was like 50.
Okay. I wow.
Okay, sorry, no, sorry. Okay, but like take away the 4 damage and like tone him down a little bit, but like
Okay, all right. I mean, I get it. Wow, like I just look at him and I'm just like, this is a lot of goodness. Like he is able to just shut down.
I don't know, man. Have you seen some of the figures we have now for like 30 points? Like, have you seen PJ's current team of 30-point duders? Like, so
no, I mean I get it, and I think this is one question I've had for several years now, which is are we entering back into sort of the era in which you're trying to play full lineups with 300 points, and if we are, what does that mean? And so there are some things in which like that needs to be re-examined, but I will
give him this. I do think that his trait has enough potential that he could. I mean, I don't want to talk about swap all the time, but I think he's potentially good enough for a sideline space.
Okay, that's more than fair. I will definitely agree on that. All right, let's move to the next figure, which is Absalon. I'm about to butcher this. I want to say Mercator. Like,
I honestly, I have no idea either. So your guess is as good as mine.
we'll just go with Absalom Mercator. And this is going to be the last rare, and then we're just going to end part one of the show here, and then we're going to go and pick it up at our super rares, and then our equipment, and our legacy characters, and our box set, and all the other shenanigans. So this is going to be the last one that we are going to look at for this video. I prefer to heal, but sometimes I have to hurt. Stop regeneration. At the beginning of your turn, you may choose an opposing character and roll a d6, 5 through 6. Deal that character 2 penetrating damage. He has, I thought I was a savior, but turns out I'm a destroyer. Exploit weakness and support. He's 40 points. He has deity, detective, mystical, and ruler keyword. So I like this because if you figure out a way of knocking him to his stop click and then just sort of hiding him in the corner, at the beginning of your turn, you could just punk anybody that you want globally without doing anything. And I think that to me is what makes this worthy enough to look at. I'm not saying like he's going to do this for 8 turns and win you games. I'm not saying that. But I do think that he has that potential to be massively disruptive and cause people to have to like bear down on him to get him off the map, which would allow your main attacker to get a little bit of reprieve. Because if someone overlooks him, he's just going to be like, and you take 2. And it's like, what do you mean? It's like, you take 2. And you no longer had that cool power that you had. So, what do you think of Absalom Mercator? Mercator.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like that's a really good power, but like it's inconsistent and it's not top tile. So like, as far as I'm concerned, it's never going to go off.
Okay.
I don't like it, if I'm playing against him, I'm going to attack him twice, and I'm never going to attack him otherwise. He just looks like a very ignorable piece to me.
Okay, that's fair. Again, once you're aware of what he does, like you're definitely gunning for him. But again, like I said,
but that's the thing, though. You don't have to. So it's either I know I'm going to kill him this turn and get points, or I'm just going to not touch him at all. So I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, 40 points for stealth support with a stop click isn't terrible, but like, I don't know.
He also has exploit. There's also
exploit with 8 movement and stealth. Like,
I know there's no movement attack. That makes it a lot harder. So, okay, all right. So that's it for part 1. Again, I'd like to thank you all for listening. We're going to take a brief intermission for you. For me, it's going to probably be like 5 minutes. And we're going to go into part 2. But if you listen to part 2 first and then listen to this part last, I thank you. ? Because usually people don't listen to the second video. They don't listen to the first video. I apologize. They look at the second video because the second video is up. Anyway, so if you have any questions, comments, you agree with Jay, or you agree with me, or you don't agree with either of us, put in the comments below, or you can email me at startingoverpodcast@gmail.com. That's startingoverpodcast@gmail.com. Keep it piffy, keep it interesting, keep it awesome, baby. All right, that's it for part 1, and I will see you in part 2.